Blessings, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Dane, your host. I hope you're doing well wherever you may find yourselves. Today's episode is to talk with you about bands I just can't take seriously. Towards the end, kind of like an honorable mentions thing, I will talk about a select few bands that, while I do take them seriously, there's sections of the discography I can't. And I can't do a whole video on that, so I'll go ahead and put it here. All right, so let's get started. This one is, the first two actually are bands I also hate. I did a video called Bands I Effing Hate, and I forgot totally about these, so let's get these out the way. So these two bands I hate and I can't take seriously. Number one is Talking Heads. When I first saw that video on MTV, this guy, the lead singer David Byrne, making these robot-like moves, and, it's just goofball-ish to me. And it's not just that song, Once in a Lifetime, and, there's Psycho Killer, he's talking in French, Qu'est-ce que c'est, and it's nerd rock, it's dorky, Stop Making Sense. Well, I don't think the band ever made sense to me. I do like the bass playing, but it's not enough for me to want to listen to the band. When they first started out, their shtick was, we don't want to be the typical rock band and, chorus, verse, chorus, and that kind of thing. And yet, lo and behold, they do eventually get to that with, burning down the house. And you have the end of the video with his face, like, going down the street all lit up. It's just silliness. It's like a more male version of, because he's a front man, the ladies in B-52s are, the front women, I guess. Although you have a male singer at times there too, but it's like a kind of a male companion-esque band to the B-52s, and because it's like party music, but it's, it's art rock and post-punk, and it just, I've said this before, there's only one thing worse than punk, although I do like a little bit of punk. It's kind of a joke, and that's post-punk. But so the Talking Heads, David Byrne in a giant suit and making these goofy moves, and that's to me not what rock and roll is. So I can't take them seriously because of that. And number two, another band I cannot stand, I hate, and I can't take seriously also is the band Primus. The vocalist, the bass player, Les Claypool. Now, Les Claypool is an amazing bass player, but it is not enough for me to want to listen to them because, like the Talking Heads, although a different type of sound, too goofy. Johnny was a race car driver. And then I remember going to see them live because they opened up for Soundgarden with Tad, and I liked Tad and Soundgarden at the time. 91, 92, something, maybe 93, down in Orleans Parish and Tipitinas, and Les Claypool's barefoot. He's got his hair in braids, and he's stomping his feet the whole time, and it just, I don't know. There's just something about it that was just, I don't know. I just can't take them seriously. It's the, Winona's Big Brown, that song, and you have album titles like Pork Soda, and it's just, and then they do cover songs, doing all of Pink Floyd's Animals. If I want to listen to Animals, I'm going to listen to Pink Floyd. And they do it with other bands too. It's just, there's just something about them I just can't take seriously. The next band is System of a Down. I remember when they were fresh. Excuse me. This was one of those bands that people could not stop talking about. And this is when I was working in Musicland and Sam Goody in the 90s. Maybe later than that as well, whenever they came out. And people were saying, I love them because the vocalist sounds like no one else. I said, well, that can be good. But for me, it was bad because I forget the name of the song, but this isn't the only example. When the lead singer sings, and there's that phrase in the song, heavy on the slaughter, like that. It's like, I'm not doing it right, of course, because I can't sing, but it's like, you're making fun of your own type of genre when you, at least it came across that you're making fun of yourself. You're making fun of your own type of music, and that type of music ethos just doesn't it doesn't work for me. It doesn't pan out as I guess what I was going to say. So System of a Down, a band I just don't get. I appreciate the music, but it's not good enough because of the vocalist. Just turns me off altogether. Next is Steel Panther. Then another band that seems to be poking fun at the whole hair metal thing, and yet they're not taking themselves too seriously, and I don't think they're trying to. But at the same time, I get that. But at the same time, because you can't take yourself too seriously, I can't take you too seriously. I can't take you seriously at all. The guitar playing is pretty top notch, but it's just not my cup of tea. It's just it's all the parts of hair metal. I like some hair metal. I don't like some hair metal. It's just all that's wrong with hair metal, and I'll leave it at that. Speaking of hair metal, Poison. There's nothing metal about Poison. It's party music. It's too bubbly. Don't need nothing but a good time. It's just you can have it if you like it. Crash Test Dummies. I remember when I first heard the song, and I can't remember the name of the song. But I'm in the car with two friends. We're driving somewhere. I think we're going out to eat. This is when the album first came out, the first album. And it's got the cover from an Auguste Doré painting. And the music is, whatever the name of the song is, the music is very captivating. I'll get to lyrics in a minute. The music is very captivating because it sounds like something that would be on a TV show or a soundtrack to a movie while you're watching said TV show or a movie. And it's meant to... It's when the music comes in part of the movie to manipulate you emotionally to let you know that something is going to happen. That kind of music, right? Think Law and Order and, films in general when you go to the cinema. But then you hear the lyrics, which makes it laughable. So you got this manipulative, emotional, powerful music, and then you hear, it's all trying to be smooth and suave, right? Superman never made any money. And then something about fighting Solomon Grundy. I went like this. I was like, could you change the channel, please? It's so laughable. And then the second album, you have stuff like, and I'm going to butcher the lyrics, but that baritone, right? Once there was a boy who something couldn't go it after school. It's just horrible. Devo. I remember when Whip It came out in the video. This is like the Talking Heads all over again, post-punk, but a different sound from the Talking Heads. New wave / post-punk is just with the silly hats and the silliness. I don't do silly. I don't do bubbly. So, Devo, you're out. Next, speaking of silly, is Weezer. Really, you have a song about singing about a sweater. Doesn't get much more trivial than that and stupid than that. Ooh, I look just like Buddy Holly. Yeah. Okay, and then they do an album called Van Weezer. Oh my God, it's awful. So trying to, spoof on Van Halen. Now this next band I've seen 6-7 times. They used to come to New Orleans every Mardi Gras. I think they still do, or around that time. And I would go see them just because, just because of the costumes. One of the costume musicians looks like a character out of Where the Wild Things Are. I don't know if that's intentional or not. I'm talking about Gwar, of course. And this is not a band I don't like or hate. It's just I can't take them too seriously, and I don't take them seriously. And I really don't listen to them much anymore. I really didn't listen to them to begin with unless I saw them live, because it was all about, them mutilating, dummies and, people dressed up, but no one was getting hurt, that kind of thing. Feed the World maggot and all that made it on Beavis and Butthead. Oderus Orungus would come out and say, "We come for your entrails." It's a comedy stick. It's more of a comedy shtick than it is music, about the music. So from that perspective, and it's Mardi Gras, so that's why I'd go see them, because of the costumes and all that. But not a band I listen to. When you have a song called Je m'appelle Jacques Cousteau, you can't take them seriously. So Gwar. Next is Crowbar. Constipated sounding vocals. It's laughable. I don't get it. I just can't take them seriously because the vocals are just dreadful, and I cringe whenever I hear them. Next, I'm going to put these together as twins, Warrant and White Lion, just all that's wrong with hair metal, very similar to Poison, and I'll leave it at that. This next one is a proto-heavy metal band called Coven. Their first album is called Witchcraft. When I was a teenager in high school, I had a friend who knew about them more than I did. I think he owned the album at one point, and he thought the band was called Witchcraft Coven, but it's Coven, and then the album's Witchcraft. So essentially, what you have on this album is side one. Well, let's talk about side two. Side two is a black mass being performed, so it's very satanic. I'm going to take a super hard pass on that. Side one sound like the Partridge Family. So that's that night and day thing. So I can't take that seriously. The next band sticking with hair metal is Europe, and I'm going to leave it at that. Here's a band I used to like, but now I listen to them or try to listen to them. Super goofy. I'm talking about the punk band Fear. There's so many of us. Let's have a war, right? So you can go and die, right? And then the second album is, more beer, more silliness. I just can't take them seriously. Sticking with hair metal, Winger, and that's all I'm going to say. The next is Kraftwerk. When I growing up in high school, I heard some good things about it. I'm always open-minded, wanting to try new things, and I just listening to them, I'm like, ooh, what is the point here? And I think Kraftwerk is, some people label Kraftwerk as, there was an article years and years ago, was Kraftwerk more important than the Beatles? For me, no. But I blame Kraftwerk for so many great bands moving into that keyboard-driven stuff in the 80s, so that has something to do with it. I Hate God, another band I hate, pun intended, I guess. I've said this before, when you have someone, the lead vocalist, I can't remember his name. They're from New Orleans. He sounds like a spoiled rotten child who can't get his way, and he's whining and complaining at the top of his lungs. I'm out. So next is Post. The name of the album is eluding me. Everything Past, Done with Mirrors. I'm talking about Aerosmith. I love Aerosmith from the get-go, through and including Rockin' the Hard Place. Done with Mirrors is, at least it's a rock album. It's not very good, but once you get to Permanent Vacation, everything else is this pop, soft. I don't want to say soft, but it is soft compared to what Aerosmith used to be, except for Honkin' for Bobo, which I don't care for very much. I appreciate the attempt at trying to return to the blues thing. It just didn't work. Not a very good album. But everything starting with Permanent Vacation through and including the last studio album, which I can't remember the name of it, is just horrible pop commercial stuff, chasing hit songs, hit singles, and essentially Tyler took over the band and said, this is what we're doing because it's all about the money. That's been well documented. So Aerosmith, second half of the discography, or last two-thirds, something like that. Next is Green Day. The whole pop punk thing, I just don't get. All the voices all the faces and the vocal phrasing from Billy Joe drives me around the bend. It's cringeworthy, and I can't take it seriously. Don't call yourself a punk band. You're not. You're not fooling anybody. Well, you are. The next band is King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, if I've got the Izzard words right in a row. Now, I will say I like their heavier stuff, but the problem that I have with King Gizzard is Octavarium or something like that. That's Dream Theater. Anyway, there's a double album that came out that they never put out on CD. You can only get on vinyl and MP3, but that's very good. But they have so many albums in a short period of time that it's like they're trying to do so much. It's like they're more concerned about output than they are quality. And there's some quality stuff there, but some of it, or a big chunk of it, is just I don't consider it good music, and so I find much of it laughable. So the next is Pere Ubu, and I remember this band has been categorized as art punk, post punk, art rock, avant rock, new wave, proto-punk, industrial rock. I don't get the proto-punk at all. I remember a friend putting it on, and he was doing this. He was like dancing, and that's not punk. The times that I've heard Per Ubu because of friends who like them, I wanted to. I was like the bad guy in all the Pink Panther movies with the twitch in his eye. I was that guy. So just Per Ubu, no. Let's talk about now finally the kind of honorable mention things, bands that sometimes I can't take seriously because of the goofiness and the silliness. So let's start with Exodus. Those first two albums I love, especially the first one. Then you get the third album, and I'm like, it's silly. It's it's like the swamp metal stuff. It's just the vocal phrasing. The music is uninspiring, and then the stuff after that with a new vocalist, it doesn't appeal to me. So I can't take them seriously at all. From that point on, Overkill. There's some good stuff in their discography, but not enough, and too much of it is silliness. I don't remember the name of the song. Is it Elevation or Revelation? And maybe it's the same song, maybe it's not, but you get, the whole point of the lyrics is I hate this and I hate that. I mean, one guy, I can't remember his name, on YouTube was like me, he can't stand the song, and this isn't in the lyrics, but he said something along the lines of, I hate this and I hate that, and I hate skinny and I hate fat, and it's just him whining and complaining about all the things he hates in the song. That's not the only example. It's just these guys are amazing musicians, and yet the things that they do is just too silly. That doesn't go with the craftsmanship that they could have, or that they have, but it doesn't show in the music. So at times, but it's not enough. So Overkill, the thrash metal band. At times, Anthrax. I can't take them seriously because of songs where the titles are backwards, and the rap stuff with UTFO, and the EP that has the wonderful cover version of Black Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath. But then we're Anthrax and we take no. It's just, and then there's other songs that are, on State of Euphoria and elsewhere that are just. Thank God you have the comeback album, Worship Music, but much of what's in their catalog is just plain silly. And finally, we come to Man of War. First album's pretty cool, although there's a song on there or two that's kind of cheesy. I forget which came first, but you have Into Glory Ride and Hail to England. I like those, and then you get to Sign of the Hammer, and then you got the song about it's distasteful and offensive. The song about Jim Jones and the mass, in Guyana, and the song ends with "Thanks for the Kool-Aid, Jim." So, and then you get the album that has, a re-envisioned version of Kiss's "Destroyer," and that's very light for Man of War. And then you get stuff after that. It's like Return to Form, with the mascot holding, the hammer of Thor, and, Excalibur, and he's looking up like that, and you have those epic, but it's bloated, and it's just not appealing. And I got one more, and that is, I like the first two albums, and pretty much that's it, and I'm talking about Virgin Steel. Again, like Man of War, you have this promise with these epic-like tracks and epic-like themes, like the House of Atreus 1 and 2, which I still wanted to like, but it's bloated, and there's a lot of fluff and filler, and the music doesn't go with the vocals, and it's just downright laughable at times. So here you have it, folks. Bands I just can't take seriously, and that's the end of the video. Please consider subscribing to the channel. Hope you continue to have a wonderful holiday season. Thank you for watching. Take care now. Bye.